Assalamu alaikum, hello everyone. Now, I'm not typically a person that does refutations or speaks about others on my channel, but in this particular case I wanted to make an exception. So, a friend of mine, you probably know his channel, Detective O Will. He's been doing some videos on a guy called Robert Spencer. Robert Spencer has written over something like 17 books on against Islam. And doing some research on him, I found, I'm just reading from a website here, his writings were cited dozens of times in a manifesto written by the Norwegian terrorist Anders Breivik, which is the guy that went onto an island and just shot everybody he could find. Spencer was banned from the UK as an extremist in July 2013. Anti-Muslim figure, devoted much of his life to writing books. I mean, looking at what he's done, he's basically someone that's decided, I can make a business out of this. I can use the far right opinions of media channels such as Fox News. I can talk bad about Islam because there's an undercurrent in the US and the UK that'll definitely pick up on this and it'll resonate with them. And I think he's made a lot of money out of this. Some of my videos previously, once you've committed to a particular path, you'll attempt to remain consistent on that path. He wants to end immigration. He's got this Muslim bashing website. He's self-taught in Islam. He's never, as far as I can see, he doesn't have any scholarly credentials. A very selective reading of the scriptures. One of the most interesting things that I saw here was on this website, which is splcenter.org. I don't really know this website, but it's very much concurs with all of the other sources. So, I thought I'd quote this one. You can go and have a look at it for yourself. Two of his books were listed in the FBI training materials, and after 57 Muslim, Arab, and South Asian civil rights and advocacy organizations sent a letter to the Department of Homeland Security, they dropped his materials from all federal training programs, something he remains bitter about to this day. So, but anyway, that's not the most concerning point. The most concerning point for me is this book that he's written called A Critical Qur'an, which, if you look at the title, espouses to be a Qur'an, and he's explained it from key Islamic commentaries and contemporary historical research. As far as I can understand, he doesn't speak Arabic. Now, someone who isn't a Muslim, or maybe a student of knowledge, or has never tried to read Arabic or study the Qur'an, probably just thinks, yeah, so what? But I need to show you something. I have a very limited number of books in my home. I'm trying to build up my library, but I just want to show you a very basic standard that we have in the Islamic world, the Arabic-speaking Islamic world, and how serious scholarship is taken. So just going to show you some of the books and explain to you what they are. So look, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to show off here because I'm in no position to do so. I know people here in Kuwait who have, libraries 50 times bigger than this. But look, see, these are mostly books of tafaseer, which are exegesis or explanations of the Quran. This is the famous book by Ibn Kathir, which you can see is 4 volumes. This is Tafsir al-Tabari. Down here we have Tafsir al-Baghawi. And these are not like fully explained versions of these tafaseer. They're just the very basic texts. If you want to get really, the proper with all the takhrij and the shuruh, the explanations, you're looking at 20 volumes plus for each tafsir. So this one, Al-Mawsu'at al-Qur'aniyya, التفاصيل في إعراب آيات التنزيل. So this means in a Quranic encyclopedia, details in the grammatical analysis, if you like, of the verses that came down. Tanzil means to descend. This is what wahi or revelation is. So that's basically the analysis of the Arabic grammar, or the grammar of each and every single word, sentence, verse, ayah, chapter in the Quran in detail. So that is how many volumes? That is like 16 or 17 volumes, just that. And over here, just some other books. So you can see the the huge like blue volumes, 45 volumes of Islamic jurisprudence. This is just one book by one organization that's authored. There are so many other different types of fiqh book. This is Bidayah wa Nihaya, the famous book by Imam Hafiz ibn Kathir on the history of Islam. This is kind of very basic introduction into, you know, the sort of books that are being written or have been written on Islamic sciences and scholarship. And here's some of the books like in the English language. This one, for example, is the Noble Qur'an. This is interpretation of the meanings, but to be honest, I have found it quite frustrating to use because it's so limited. When they translate it, they take from various tafaseer, different types of exegesis, and it's very rare that you're going to find the proper explanation of the one you want to actually get, you know, or the ayah or the verse you want to actually get to. My point there is that you really need to be able to go to the Arabic sources to get a proper explanation. Even if you had every single book translated into the English language, you're still going to be missing a huge amount because there is what we call fiqh in the language itself. There's knowledge in the way that the language is applied. Having tried some translation myself, I can understand the frustrations, and I urge people, especially students of knowledge, to study the Arabic language and really just get stuck in, try and do some translations, not necessarily the Quran, but just, you know, some basic books, and just to see how complex, how non-trivial it is. Most of these books are in Arabic, as you can see, and I'm still learning Arabic, and I would not even dare thinking about writing a book on any of this because I'm nowhere near qualified to do so. So these books are either written by scholars or they're written by very high class students, supervised by scholars. You know, it's not something trivial, and there are often several editions of these books. They're reprinted again and again. It's a constant cycle of checking. People will identify small mistakes here and there, and they'll reprint the books again. This is kind of the level of scholarship and detail, and this is nothing. I mean, like I said, I know people that have, you know, 10, 15, 20 times of what I've got here at least, all in Arabic. So for someone to come along, and I can't explain how frustrating this is when you try to explain the Arabic language and its nuances and the challenge in actually learning it, the amount of effort you actually have to put into learning the Arabic language to get to the level where you can actually make an exegesis of the Quran. And the Arabic language isn't enough. You have to study. You have to study with the scholars. You have to understand the different types of tafsir, the methodologies, and many other things which I haven't even been exposed to or know about. So for someone like this to come along, who doesn't even speak Arabic, probably hasn't spoken to any scholars, he's just been, you know, hanging around with a group of people that validates the sort of works that he wants to produce. I just would like to warn people against purchasing this book, taking anything from him or these types of people. If you want to know about Islam, come and speak to the Muslims about it. You know, the practicing Muslims, the ones that are praying 5 times a day in the masjid. If you're a lady, go and speak to the Muslim ladies. Ask them, you know, genuinely, do you really have a problem with the hijab? Are you being forced to wear the hijab? Are you being forced to wear the niqab? All of this hatred that's being whipped up around this beautiful religion. I call it beautiful because I've been practicing it for 22 years. Live in Kuwait. It's an amazing place. I've never had anything but good experiences here. And the scholars that I study with in Kuwait write books against these kind of terrorist movements that, like ISIS and Al-Qaeda. They warn people against the tactics and techniques of people that go around recruiting for these kind of groups. You know, may Allah protect us from them. And they're like, I do hope that this gentleman Robert Spencer and Tommy Robertson and Hatun and Jay Smith and all these people. I do ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to open their hearts to this beautiful religion. And again, I just warn people against fake scholarship. Go and explore, try and understand what real scholarship is, what it looks like, what it takes to actually become. Go and look, for example, Sheikh bin Baz, Sheikh Uthaymeen, Sheikh Al-Albani. Some people will say, these are the Salafi, the Wahhabi guys. That's just what you've been told. These are names, that you've been programmed to accept as derogatory for people like myself with long beards. I don't, it's very sad, because we don't seek to do anything wrong to anyone. We just want to live in peace, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as He told us to. And anyway, that's all I've really got to say. Thank you for staying with me if you watched the whole of this video, and let me know what you think.